you, I won't fix it. How's that for my knowledge on auto mechanics? But I know a shitload about computers. I know a lot about writing. These are things I've spent my time learning. I have spent years learning how the human brain works, and especially human behavior, not so much on the metabolic controls or the, what am I thinking of? What do you call the system that runs in the background? I can't remember. But I'm not so much on those. Obviously, I'd know that if I'd studied it. Studied it for fucking 2 hours maybe. But I've studied for 2 decades the effects of brain chemistry and thinking on human behavior, and vice versa. Behavior also can affect brain chemistry and thinking. So back and forth, going from evolutionary psychology to behavioral, back and forth, checking out the history of human behavior, what may have passed down through the genes, what may be societal. We're doing nature versus nurture. These are things I've bothered to learn about. But if you come up to me and you're talking about the inner workings of volcanoes, like my friend Karen Holmberg would, I would know what the fuck you were talking about. That's not my thing. So why don't we all just agree that we have our specialty areas and that we're not geniuses? Sometimes you will see a person with average intelligence want to sound like a genius, so they will... I've even heard of hosts on Spreaker saying, I can talk about anything and be capable in that subject. If they don't know about everything, then how can they talk about anything and sound capable? And maybe it depends on the listener, being able to pick apart when they're fucking around. Maybe it depends on their belief in themselves, which they say is a trait of a psychopath, that a psychopath can talk about just about any subject and even use some of the vernacular, which is another way to say, I probably should have used a smaller word there, some of the words typically used by a person in a given subject. So a psychopath may be talking about neurosurgery and drop words like corpus callosum or frontal lobe, or occipital lobe. And you're thinking, holy shit, he knows about the brain. No, he's just learned a few words about it, but he wants to sound like he knows it. These are things that are a little bit complex. There are gray areas between a psychopath and a non-psychopath where most of us live. In other words, some of us do have 1 or 2 psychopathic-like traits, but it's the ones you got to watch out for that have 8 or 9. Those are the people that are going to harm you. What we look for, this makes sense to me. I don't think it's going to be much different in 1,000 years, although computers will do most of the work. You'll be able to tell from smells and energy fields what kind of mental disorders people have with simple machines. I think it's going to be the same. We're looking for clusters of symptoms to lean toward a condition. And even then we can't be sure. If you've got 9 out of 14 psychopath symptoms on the scale that they use to rate a psychopath, how do I know you're a psychopath? I can say it's more likely than not that you are. I can say that. But I can't say you are for sure. I will not be spending time around you. I know that. Because psychopaths are fucking dangerous. But I can't say for sure that you are. If you have 9 out of 14, let's say. But that's a pretty damning number if you fit in with 9 of those. If I fit in with more than 2, I would be looking for help. I'd say, look, I don't want to become what I know a psychopath is, so please help me, a psychiatrist. Do it through counseling and medication like they do everything else right now. But luckily, I've never had more than 1 or 2 traits on any of those major scales like that. So, in fact, I went to see a shrink voluntarily when I filed for divorce from Satan up in Vermont, and I said, I want you to tell me, Kevin, his name was Kevin too, and I said, I want you to tell me, this is how I've reacted to this once I found out she was cheating. This is how I've reacted to now knowing that I have to split my family up as I'm watching my daughter alone up here while my ex-wife exercises the springs of her mattresses down in Georgia. This is something I need to know, doctor. How psychologically healthy am I? And how psychologically unhealthy am I? And we talked for a couple hours first, and he said, Kevin, you're probably one of the top few most psychologically healthy people I've ever met. He said you've got good defenses, but you also recognize the function of those defenses, and therefore you question the strength of those defenses. He said your self-awareness is top-notch. He said, and your ability to absorb blows and feel them without letting them knock you completely off course is incredibly high, which is unusual. So he gave me an A, I'd say, maybe not an A+, but an A on psychological health. And I've always kind of, remember that was after my first 4 years in college, majoring in psychology. But I wasn't studying disorders. I was studying the human mind. I was studying memory. I was studying sleep. I was studying brain waves and basic human behaviors, not so much disorders. I mean, we only studied disorders for one semester, and I was rather bored with them. You know, I thought that would be fun, but it was kind of boring. You know, I just wasn't interested. I was interested in learning and brain chemistry more than anything, like how rats do in mazes when part of their brain's been removed, that kind of shit. How does that work? How does that all work together? And frankly, I think that's why I ended up working on computers, because they make a lot more sense than the human brain. Anyway, let's get into coffee. I'm drinking some right now. I'll probably play a song to get more if we stay on long enough, but I don't know if we'll be on long enough for that. Looking at right now, I'm looking at two articles. One is why a leading professor of new media just banned technology use in class. Okay, this is about Clay Shirky. I told you we were going to talk about him. But the other one is a Huffington Post article titled 11 Reasons Why You Should Drink Coffee Every Day. Now, as a matter of practice, I will share this link in the chat, as well as, excuse me, on the Facebook page for the announcement of this show. I've been having a mucus problem lately. I don't know if it's just from being a smoker or what, but I hate having to constantly clear my throat, so I got to do something about that. That's not good for a radio host. I have to do something about that. So there's a random thing for you. Got to keep it random. Got to do that. Facebook is the page, and the address is facebook.com/truthontapshow. Truth on Tap Show. You got it? Okay. Let me delete this announcement because that's for the old show, which failed miserably. And this is for the new show. So the announcement's there. I'm putting in the comments the link for this. I'll also put it in the chat room, although I don't know who all's in there because I've been busy talking. And like Chris Crash Jesus says from HTL1 Radio out of New York, you don't want to focus too much on your chat. Hi, Valerie. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you in there. I think Grandpa Al is doing his own show right now. This is a link to an article we're about to talk about, if you're still in the chat room, Valerie. And I'm going to get, let's see, one more link in there, just so that you guys will have it. So that was this is the coffee benefits one. And this link is a Washington Post article, which drives me insane, and because of the way the guy talks, it drives me insane. And maybe you could help me understand why. I don't like it when people try too hard to sound too smart. It's something annoying about that to me. I want you to be smart. I want you to go and read stuff and learn stuff and be smart. But trying to sound smart has this air of, it's even worse than like a Floyd Mayweather bragging about his undefeated record. It bothers me more than that. At least with him, he's done the work. He has done the work. Maybe he fought some shitty fighters here and there. Maybe his style is boring because he's kind of a turtle shell boxer where he just sort of hides behind his guard all the time, and he has a very good guard. That's a little boring to me. But he is undefeated. So at least he did the work. These people using big words to sound educated, to make you think they've done the work to study and become brilliant, but they haven't, that I don't know about. That has a feel of, you know what it is. It's a lie. It's everything this show stands against and this show's host. It's a lie. You need the truth. Sometimes the truth is very painful, but you need it. You need to at least know what it is. If you choose to go live in a fantasy world after that, I'll come live with you there. That's much more peaceful and fun than reality. Okay, I don't like standing in reality all day, but on the show we have to. On the show we have to keep it real. So if you're not smart, stop using 5-syllable words. Go learn to be smart. Go learn what it is you're lacking. Go learn what smart people have that you don't, and learn that. That's all you got to do. Just read. But you can't always just read romance novels. You can't always just read westerns. You can't always just read nonfiction. You have to mix it up. You have to give the brain some work to do, some exercise. Work on logic puzzles once in a while, crossword puzzles. Anyway, so coffee first, and 11 reasons why you should drink coffee every day. I shared the link, which means you can read it at your leisure, so we're just going to go through the headlines. Americans get more antioxidants from coffee than anything else. Okay, while fruits and vegetables have tons of antioxidants, the human body seems to absorb the most from coffee. Good stuff. Just smelling coffee could make you less stressed. How about that? They've done the study. I had a business teacher in high school who did not drink coffee, but who brewed a pot every morning just to smell it. Can you believe that? Very strange. Coffee could lessen the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. That is very impressive. Coffee is great for your liver, especially if you drink alcohol. I did not know this. This is brand new to me. We're going to read this. Study published 2006 included 125,000 people over 22 years showed that those who drink at least 1 cup of coffee a day were 20% less, they meant to say likely, to develop liver cirrhosis. How about that? An autoimmune disease caused by excessive alcohol consumption. And I'm sure that could also be caused by other things. I don't know like what drug damage is called when drugs, for example, excessive amounts of acetaminophen or ibuprofen will damage the liver. I don't know what they call that condition when it begins to degrade the function of the liver, but I can't help but wondering if coffee might help that as well. Coffee, it has shown that coffee can help prevent people from developing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. International team of researchers led by Duke and U.S. graduate medical school revealed that drinking 4 or more cups of coffee or tea a day may be beneficial in preventing the progression of NAFLD. Again, that's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Not something I'm very familiar with, but apparently it's a threat. Coffee can make you feel happier. No shit, Sherlock. Who did this research? This must have been Yale. No, this was a Chinese. Well, the Chinese are we knew this part, guys. Okay, so next, coffee consumption has been linked to lower levels of suicide. That's believable. This was a Harvard study. It says reduce the risk of suicide in men and women by about 50%. It acts as a mild antidepressant by aiding the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. All right. Coffee could reduce your chances of getting skin cancer if you're a woman, says this study. Didn't seem to have much of an effect on men regarding skin cancer, did have an effect on women. So it's doing something in the way the skin protects itself from those harmful rays. Coffee can make you a better athlete. Scientists and many athletes have known for years, of course, that a cup of coffee before a workout jolts athletic performance, especially in endurance sports like distance running and cycling. Caffeine increases the number of fatty acids in the bloodstream, which allows athletes' muscles to absorb and burn those fats for fuel, therefore saving the body's small reserves of carbs for later in the exercise. That makes sense. I didn't know that, but that does make perfect sense. I used to study that stuff some when I was a gym rat. But I didn't know that. Coffee could reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. All right. Drinking coffee could help your brain. Well, thank you, Avast. I'm glad you operated without my consent. Drinking coffee could help keep your brain healthier for longer. Okay, that's good. So apparently it's delay the onset of Alzheimer's. Okay, that's good. And that was a study done in by a neuroscientist at USF, and that was Chanwai Chow. So again, China's invading. Coffee may make you more intelligent. How about that? Let's read this one because it certainly has a link. You usually drink coffee when you are sleep deprived, right? I'm always sleep deprived. Well, that much needed jolt not only keeps you awake, it makes you sharper. CNN reports that coffee allows your brain to work in a much more efficient and smarter way. Time reporter Michael Lemonick says, when you're sleep deprived, and I'm quoting, and you take caffeine, pretty much anything you measure will improve. Reaction time, vigilance, attention, logical reasoning, most of the complex functions you associate with intelligence. I think this is a bit of a stretch. Now, it could be that coffee can make you more intelligent. I think over time, the fact that coffee increases alertness, and we've proven that caffeine affects short-term memory and retention, over time it could contribute to intelligence. But this is a very direct link between coffee and intelligence that I don't see the data in support of. So I would call that a correlation versus causation issue that you may want to look deeper into. I can't just say coffee may make you more intelligent and feel confident with that. I haven't seen the evidence to support it. Moral of the story, coffee is the best thing ever. Keep drinking it. That's what they're saying, folks. We're not seeing a lot of bad stuff. Now, here's something in the comments section. Remember,